Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual design review panel meeting. I'm Victoria Cox, the host of this meeting, but panel member Vince Kaliza will be the chair. Just a couple of quick notes. In addition to the panel members, we have the applicant team, city staff members, some members of the public and the media may be observing this meeting. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the DRP webpage. Just a reminder to please keep your microphones muted if you are not speaking. WebEx permissions have changed a little bit and panel members are being asked to mute and unmute yourselves along with any of the presenters, please. So thank you, Vince. Can you please begin?
Is everyone else in attendance, Victoria?
All panel members, yes, are in attendance.
And the applicant is not.
I believe the applicant is. Sorry. Sean, are you able to share your presentation?
Yeah, I can start now if you'd like me to.
I think so.
But are the members that are on the applicant team present? I can't see them, that's why I'm asking the question.
If you're the applicant, can you please let us know that you're present?
This is Peter Ng from Kurtzman Senior Architects.
Okay, so you're here. That's great. Thank you.
Yes. As well as Alison from Bowfields, our planning consultant, and Scott Henderson, our landscape architect, are also present.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Vince, can you formally introduce the meeting, please?
Okay, Victoria, can you please confirm the session is being recorded?
It is, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the virtual design review panel. Any changes to the agenda today, Victoria?
No.
Any panel members in attendance that are must declare a conflict? No. Okay. First item on the agenda today is a residential development located at 104 to 106 Bay Street North. Lead planner on the file, Sean Stewart. Good afternoon, Sean. We're ready for your presentation. Keep the presentation under 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the panel and public in attendance and staff, my name is Sean Stewart. I'm the lead planner on the file. I'm on the urban planning team. I'll be presenting today on 104, 106 Bay Street North. The development proposal is the applicant is proposing to construct a six-story multiple dwelling with 55 units and 6 parking spaces. This is an overhead view of the neighborhood. Again, basically at the corner of, it's a through lot at the corner of Bay Street North and Cannon Street West. It's across from the former Sir John A. Macdonald High School, for those familiar with the area. This is the view of the site from Bay Street looking north, northeast. It's just to the north of the auto repair shop in the picture. This is a view of the subject property from Cannon Street West looking southeast. Those 3 dwellings in the middle of the picture are on the Municipal Heritage Register, just for your information, and the proposed building is just to the right of those. This picture is a view of the subject property looking from Cannon Street West towards the southwest, so this would be looking towards the rear of the proposed building. And this is a another picture just looking straight on to the proposed building site on Bay Street North. This image shows the proposed site plan. Again, the building is fronting onto Bay Street North. The parking would be off of Cannon Street West. And there's amenity space behind the proposed building. This is the front elevation of the building. These are south and east elevations of the building. The property is located within the Downtown Urban Growth Center on Schedule E of the Urban Hamilton Official Plan. It's also designated the Downtown Mixed Use Area on Schedule E1 of the Urban Hamilton Official Plan. Some major policy themes for the Downtown Urban Growth Center shall be the preeminent node in Hamilton due to its scale, density, range of uses, function, and identity. Shall be planned for a range of uses appropriate to its role as a city's preeminent node. Shall function as a residential neighborhood with a large and diverse population and range of housing types. The downtown mixed-use area shall serve as a central focus for the city by creating a sense of place. Residential uses are permitted on lands designated downtown mixed use. A higher density form of housing shall be encouraged. Permitted uses shall be located in both single and mixed-use buildings. Some urban design policies in the UHOP. The Urban Growth Center shall be designed with a strong pedestrian focus to create a comfortable and animated pedestrian environment, respect the character, development patterns, and built form and landscapes, promote quality design consistent with the locale and surrounding environment, contribute to the character and ambiance of the community through appropriate design of streetscapes and amenity areas, massing development to respect existing and planned street proportions, and designing new development to minimize impact on neighboring buildings and public spaces, including providing appropriate transitions in scale, and create a comfortable pedestrian environment. The property is located in the downtown mixed-use designation of the Downtown Hamilton Secondary Plan. It's also designated as High-Rise 2 in the Downtown Hamilton Secondary Plan. Downtown mixed-use designation supports intensive urban-scale mixed-use development. The High-Rise 2 designation permits building heights up to 30 stories. Some design policies for the Downtown Hamilton Secondary Plan to be mindful of is that development shall ensure it's compatible with the design of surrounding built heritage resource buildings. Residential development shall reflect urban design features compatible with the downtown location and the heritage character of the area. Consider transition in height to adjacent buildings. The height, massing, scale, and arrangement of buildings are compatible with adjacent development and sympathetic to the character of the neighborhood. Residential development shall provide amenity space for residents and shall incorporate high-quality, durable building materials for aesthetics, fire suppression, and energy efficiency. Property is located in the D1 zone, downtown central business district. There are 3 holding provisions currently assigned to the property. However, they don't apply to the proposed development. It's under 44 meters in height. The zone provides for a mixture of uses, including residential and standalone or mixed-use buildings. The maximum height is 94 meters. So some specific areas of discussion that staff would like the panel to consider. Does the proposal use materials that are consistent and compatible with the surrounding context? Does the proposal ensure an equitable distribution of accessible and stimulating amenity areas, including the development of places for passive and active recreation and use? And is the proposal compatible with and does it enhance the character of the existing environment and locale? That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Ready for the applicant to present the proposal. Please keep your presentation under 10 minutes. Thank you.
Can everyone see my screen?
No, sorry, we're not able to see it.
Okay, okay. What about now?
Yeah, we're starting to see it here. Yes, now we
Yeah,
can see it.
okay. I probably will not go through the items that Sean has just went through, and so I'm going to skip this context plan, and as well as the surrounding neighborhood context as well, and the current site is an existing city parking lot.
Can I just say that your voice isn't coming through very clearly? I'm not sure if you're on a speakerphone or.
I'm actually on speakerphone.
Okay, there's a lot of
Is it better now?
If you could, yeah, there's just a lot of background echoing and so on. So.
Okay. Okay, and so this is the site plan, and the development consists of two phases, but our work is only contracted for the first phase only. And the first phase building is located along Bay Street, where it is a 55 unit, 6-story building. And here are the townhouses, which are heritage of heritage interest. And the primary entrance to the building is from Bay Street at this location. And the use of the ground floor is primarily for amenity spaces with a few dwelling units plus a services rooms at the back. And the vehicular entrance into the building is from Cannon Street, located at this location. And here are the 6 parking spaces that Sean had mentioned earlier. And the interior vehicle circulation is more or less configured to the requirement of waste disposal pickup, kind of in a T-shape arrangement, where the refuse pickup is at this location, and the vehicle comes in, pick up the refuse, back up and go back out again. The building sits at the southwest corner, and attempting to provide adequate spaces between the existing 3 townhouses at the corner and the new development, and providing kind of a paved pedestrian path to the back where the exterior amenity spaces are, and also a connection to Cannon Street at this location, whereby a secondary entrance to the building is located here. And here's the landscape plan with hard paving for this pedestrian path and soft landscaping in front of the building, respecting the current streetscape planting, and landscaping buffer between the parking spaces over here, and appropriate landscaping for the exterior amenity area, and as well as a landscape buffer between the subject site and the property to the east. And when phase 2 is finally developed, the vehicular entrance into the site more or less stays the same. At at the end of the T-shaped configuration is the entrance to the future underground parking at this location. And the 6 spaces proposed for phase 1 development will be moved to the underground parking when phase 2 is developed. The massing of the building, 6-story, and with projections and modulation along Bay Street front, identifying the entrance to the building, and also having a projecting mast here to transition the scale of these 3 houses remaining at the corner to the 6-story height. And this projection here is really to balance this gesture at this end in anticipating of bigger development at the corner of Fine Street and Bay Street. And here's the back side of the building with the larger 3-bedroom units at the corners and therefore the bump out at the end of the building. And here's the elevation illustrating the stepping up scale with this projection of the building here, and then the other mass to a balance of this mass here. And the overall height of the building is 21.5 meters up to the roof, 6th floor of the roof at the 6th floor, and another approximately 5 meters above that for the mechanical penthouse. And here's a view from Cannon Street, showing the building behind the townhouse at the corner. And more or less same height to the school across the street. And here's a section through the building. The attempt of the building to be as close to the property line as possible to respect the setback and alignment of the 2 existing buildings on the north and south side. And here's the material part of the building. We are proposing to use cement board in various colors and textures, distinguishing these 2 masses and kind of a grid line arrangements for the central portion of the facade. And here's the back side, carrying on the same idea. Perspective view of the building, showing the paved area to the back of the site and the respectable distance from the 3 houses which are remaining. Streetscapes in front of the building and the building entrance at this location recessed to obtain a bit of shelter. And this is the back. The interior planning of the building is pretty typical, single double-loaded corridor, where the 3-bedroom townhouse, 3-bedroom suites are distributed at the corner because of the need of windows for multiple bedrooms. And here's the more or less the footprint or the envelope of the phase 2 building. The 5th and 6th floor stepping back from the northwest corner of the projection below. And here's the roof line. And with this, I conclude my presentation.
Okay, are you finished now, Mr. Button?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. This time we provide an opportunity for each panel member to seek clarification on any points that may require further explanation. Please hold your comments for the panel discussion portion. Questions only, please, from panel members. We'll start with Jackie.
Thank you, Vince. Peter, question about the outdoor amenity and its relationship to the indoor. Right now they're separated. Was there any studies done that allowed those two to kind of come together to be adjacent to each other?
So, Jackie, I missed your question. Could you repeat your question again?
Yeah, the outdoor amenity right now is not adjacent to the indoor.
Right.
Were you able to have any studies showing how they could be adjacent to each other?
We have, and due to the configuration of the site and the desire the amenity area fronting Bay Street, we opted to locate the amenity room at the northwest corner rather than the back. And we are also that the patio to the north of the building could also serve as part of the amenity.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Yasin?
Yep. Thanks, Vince. Thank you for your presentation, Keith. It's an interesting project. Can I just clarify first? This is a project for the city of Hamilton, right? So the city of Hamilton is the client?
Correct.
Okay. And so, okay, that's, could I just ask how, I'm curious to know how the phasing was decided upon, how you chose to, I guess, front on, well, how you selected to, was it simply a construction sequence that dictated the way you phased the project? I guess the question is, sorry, what dictated the phasing?
The phasing was predetermined by the city of Hamilton, or city housing Hamilton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the underground parking that's projected in phase 2 would cover both phase 1 and 2?
In capacity, yes, but in footprint, it will not go underneath the phase 1 building.
Okay, yeah. And sorry, it was 3 floors below grade?
One.
1 floor, okay.
But the requirement for parking for affordable housing unit is actually quite low.
Okay.
Yeah, and for example, first phase only has 55 units, but the parking requirement is only 6 spots.
Okay, and the second phase will have how many units?
It's not yet determined, and it's going to be probably a bit more than 55. And from the original feasibility study by another consultant, it was proposed a phase 1 and phase 2 combined unit count of approximately 90 units.
Sorry, can you repeat that last bit? Approximately
90 units.
90 units. The second phase. Okay. And seeing that your maximum, so a separate question, seeing your maximum height limit is 44 meters. Why, can I ask, how did you determine that you were only going to build 5 stories? Why didn't you max out? Was that predetermined as well?
Yeah, it was predetermined as well, and
Okay.
there is also a desire from City Housing Hamilton
Okay.
to construct this building as a wood structure building, and therefore the maximum height for a wood structure combustible construction is 6 stories.
Right. That's sorry, you're about to lead into my next question. So just to clarify then, the second phase is going to be a taller building, most likely, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And that will probably, that means that it won't be a wood structure.
No, it won't.
Okay. So last question is, can you just speak a little bit about, I think in many ways this is a precedent-setting project, right? Would you agree for the city, because it's a wood structure and you're going to meet Passive House standards?
Correct.
And so this is a great model for a city project. And could you please just describe, just in a few words, the implications to the building envelope? Because in some ways, the envelope is very understated and very simple, but it does dictate a lot of what you can do with the envelope itself, right? In terms of
Yes.
the
Yes.
requirements.
Yeah. To exercise passive house design, first of all, the simple form of the building, kind of having a low surface area to volume ratio is important. And we try to keep the building form as simple as possible, but due to the constraint of the site, we have to compress the building, and therefore, and also to adjust the urban design policies and gesture. Therefore, you see these massing popping out of the building. However, beyond that, to exercise passive house design is to achieve a very high performance building envelope with very high R value, triple glazing, super air tightness. Yeah, and with a mechanical system consists of energy recovery, ventilation, with variable refrigerant flow.
And you don't have any, are the windows openable? Operable?
Yes, they are operable.
Okay. But in a passive house envelope, you would not recommend balconies, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. And therefore, we move away from having balconies or any projections.
Because of thermal bridging.
That's right, yeah. Okay. The building is to have absolutely no thermal bridging in any way.
Okay, it's very interesting. I will leave it at that. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasin. Colin?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Yuta?
Just one quick question. If you go back to your overall site plan slide, please. That's perfect. Thank you. Keith, I was wondering if you could, this one will be perfect. If you could take us a little bit through the rationale of how parking and the driveway aisles were determined for your ultimate phase. So I guess maybe we can go to the site plan where it shows the ultimate footprint for your phase 2 building. This one. Yeah, so can you take us through the design process of how you determined this was the best approach to the underground parking?
Yeah, we really don't have much choice. First of all, we only allow one vehicular entrance into the site. and therefore the kind of like the secondary entrance for services of the site it's combined with the underground parking access, future underground parking access, and we can't really put it here because it will be too close to the corner, and also we would not have enough room to achieve the headroom necessary to the underground parking level. And therefore, we kind of combine the vehicular or the surface vehicular circulation with the access to underground parking as well. And given that we already have this in phase one, so we just continue this at this location to serve as the entrance to the underground parking as well.
Okay, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Yuda. So we're up to James now.
Thank you, Vince, and thank you, Keith, for the presentation. Keith, can you take us to one of your slides that would show the, I guess, the north elevation of the building, the side elevation towards Cannon Street? That's fine.
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So there's very limited windows on that elevation. Is that a consequence of what's happening inside the building in terms of the floor plate, or are there rooms inside that would benefit from additional openings?
Yeah, what you're seeing here, James, is like this portion here is the access stair. So therefore, no window is necessary. And then at the end of the corridors for each floor, we are actually very fortunate not to have something blocking it, so that we actually get daylight into the corridor of the building, which typically in most housing projects you don't have. And as mentioned previously, due to the arrangement of the floor plan, that being having 3-bedroom suites at the corner, that would allow us to put windows to accommodate the 3 rooms of the suite. And so the north elevation that we just saw is this view here. So we will most likely end up with 1 bedroom here, 1 bedroom here, the larger window for the living, dining, and kitchen, and then another bedroom here. So that explains why the limited openings on the north facade, because we already have windows on the major sides of the building.
Okay. The next question would be, you can just keep it on this slide. So I understood in your presentation, you explained that you've tried to achieve some symmetry with the heritage buildings by a projection on the north and Bay Street frontage building. I'm just curious, on now the south side, you've also gone with a projection. Is that a functional or purely aesthetic design consideration? Is there something behind that projection? And effectively what you've done is you've recessed the center of the building.
Sorry, I missed the last words there, James. Recess the...
Yeah, so I'm just curious. So on the left-hand side, you've created a projection for the lower 4 stories, which tries to accentuate a base and tries to achieve some symmetry with the heritage buildings. On the right-hand side, you've also done a projection, again,
Correct.
that very,
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind the projection on the right-hand side?
The reason is we do not have enough area. We do not have enough area at this corner of the building to accommodate 3 bedrooms. And that's why we project this part of the building outward, and also to kind of like to balance this mass here on this side in a vertical manner. Yeah, it has more to do with composition and also the need of a larger floor plate at this side end of the building for 3-bedroom suites.
Okay. I guess my last question on that same elevation on the right-hand side, so you have 1 3-bedroom unit that's going to be at grade. What are you doing with that unit to try and give it some privacy or amenity or street connectivity?
Yeah, there is landscaping in front, and like there's approximately 2 meters of soft landscaping in front of this bedroom, in front of this 3-bedroom unit, and due to City Housing Hamilton's facility management policy, and maintenance reason, and therefore access to this landscape space is not being considered at the moment.
Okay. I lied. Last question. The connectivity on the right-hand side of the building between the building and townhouses seems to be shown as hardscaped. Is there any reason you can't add more soft landscaping in there? I think that was essentially the question too.
Yeah, the exit there is coming out this way, and therefore we try to keep this path as quick as possible. It's approximately six foot wide. There is a possibility maybe we can add a very small strip of soft landscaping.
No, I apologize. I was actually referring to the north side, between.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can you create more green space there?
We certainly can, and we are considering that at the moment.
Okay, that's all, Vince. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, James. Tim?
Thanks, Vince. I got 2 questions. One, I think it's for Sean, or maybe it's for another city staff or in attendance. The closed school across the road, I understand, is meant to be become a community hub. Is that going to happen entirely within the existing school building, and or is there a planned kind of residential intensification of part of that site?
Hi, Tim. It's Shannon Mackay. I don't think we have anything formal for that site across the street. I think there was discussions about a hub, but we don't actually have anything formal to be able to confirm any of that.
Okay, no plans at the moment.
No.
Okay, thank you. And for the applicant, you might have addressed this in your presentation. I might have missed it, but the setback, the side yard setback there on the north side at about 7.5 meters. Why is it that large a setback?
You mean this dimension? You mean here?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. First of all, we want to make sure that we have enough horizontal distance to make the scale transition from these 3 houses to the 6-story building. And also at the same time, due to limiting distance from the Ontario Building Code, if we do not set back at least 6 meters from the property line, we would not be able to have unprotected window openings on the north side as well.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Thanks, Tim. If you could take the chair a sec, Tim.
Sure.
I just have a question on materiality. Mr. Burton, is Passive House looking for a lightweight skin? Is that part of the rationale for using the panel, a lightweight panel approach that you're using?
Yes, it depends on the wall type, and if it turns out to be kind of like a cavity where we have very thick insulation outboard of the sheathing, and that means we would have very large brackets holding up the secondary cladding system girts and structure. And that's why we at the moment, we are only considering a lightweight cladding system rather than something like masonry, such as brick.
Right. And you're confident in the durability of those materials?
Confident that we are
confident in the durability of those materials, like they're going to perform long term?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all my questions for now. I think we'll close the Q&A session and we'll now move to, based on the information provided by city staff and the applicant, each panel member will now provide feedback and recommendations, and we'll start with Jackie.
Thank you, Vince. My comment is following up on my question. I would suggest another look at that amenity space, combining the indoor and the outdoor. That 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom facing to the top of the drawing creates a no man's land in that amenity space. You don't really want people standing at the windows looking in. So you lose some of that amenity space if they remain bedrooms. But if it's an indoor amenity, you can capitalize and maximize all of that amenity space, and you create a much better synergy between the indoors and the out. And I would say that where the amenity room is could be another series of townhouses to carry on with what is in the existing stock there. So those are my suggestions. Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Jackie. We'll go to Yasser.
Thanks, Vince. So I've a couple of comments just overall. I agree with Jackie's comment about the amenity space. I think it would have been a lot better if that was somehow connected to the rear amenity space. And I get the sense that it's probably something about the phasing of the site, the fact that you're developing the Bay Street side first. I think you're having to bring, include the roadway in a different location, because I could see the roadway being, the driveway to the underground being in a different location, which would allow you to bring amenity spaces close to the edge of the building on both sides in phase 1 and 2. But I think that's maybe a moot point at this stage. But I think overall, I have to commend you. I think it's a great. This is getting a passive house building built in Hamilton was going to be a fantastic model. I think we need to do a lot more of that. Have a high performance envelope for the city buildings, and it's going to set a good standard. I think it is unfortunate that I guess the variation of materials, as Vince mentioned, is limited, but I can understand the depth of the envelope. The wall assembly dictates what materials you can put on there, unless you're going to have a composite structure, such as let's say a first floor in concrete, and then have a wood structure stacked on top of that, right? That would have provided you a very different structural capacity on the site, making the lower level much more stable and sturdy, and then a wood frame on top of that slab. But I think this is a great precedent. I commend you for that. I know you, Kearns Mancini, is doing another passive house project, so it's good history. I think you have depth of knowledge, so it'll be a good model to push forward on. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Vince, over to you. Vince?
Okay, Colin, you're up next.
Thank you. Great project. I mean, commendable that we're achieving passive house. We're aiming for passive house standards. So big kudos to the city of Hamilton and the authority who's building this building, as well as to Kearns Mancini for your interest as a firm in this. We've been asking for many applicants at this forum to consider the carbon footprint of their building. And very few have, so it's refreshing to finally see one that's in front of us that's setting the bar very high. So thank you for that, everyone involved. My comments relate specifically to the landscape. I would also agree with my colleagues' input that the amenity room would be better positioned in association with the outdoor amenity space, and it would make that outdoor amenity space far more usable in the long term. I also think that you can do better and that you could work closely with your landscape architect and transportation engineer on this. I think you can do better in terms of the hard versus softscape ratio on the site. A lot of space is eaten up to turning radii for waste vehicle, and I think you can do better than that on the site. And I think that the organization of that rear courtyard amenity space could be improved upon. That really you want to be the beating heart of the site. You want that to be the space where people go to meet their neighbors, to have a barbecue, to hang out with their kids. It doesn't feel like that now. So I think it needs a little bit more care and attention to make it feel like a place it wants to be. It feels a bit like an afterthought. That may be reflective of where you are in the process. I encourage you to really focus in on that rear outdoor amenity space and make it a fantastic place. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. We're into Utah.
Thank you, Vince. So thank you for the presentation. My comments are really succinct, only two. The first one will be to really look into minimizing the amount of asphalt and paving that you will be introducing during phase 2 of your construction. I feel that adding that kind of loop around ramp onto the underground instead of trying to bring cars to the underground from the immediate entrance of Cannon Street really increase the amount of paving. It really demerits of the amazing internal courtyard that you are planning on. And if really the strategy to accommodate for the pickup of waste services as well as underground parking requires this extensive paving of almost half of your site, I will encourage that you look into other paving strategies that maybe mimic a little bit of the tan color that you see on this screen. And finally, I will suggest that within the passive house requirements and standards, you look into colors or materiality in facade treatments that speak a little bit to the brick context that's surrounding you. And hopefully that really integrates your building a little bit more into the overall character of that specific street. Thank you again. Back to you, Vince.
Thank you, Yuta. So we're James, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's great to see the city of Hamilton taking the lead on innovative mid-rise buildings in the core. My comments are really limited and fairly scoped. Again, I really do see that Bay Street entrance to the amenity space as being a phenomenal design opportunity. It's kind of like the garden entrance to the rear amenity space. And I just reinforce the comments heard about potentially reorganizing the location of the amenity space and trying to minimize the amount of hard surfacing to the rear to create a more meaningful amenity space that essentially more directly benefits and is adjacent to the two buildings, accepting that we don't have the details yet on the second building. Specific to the manner in which you've designed the elevations to try to achieve some symmetry with the heritage buildings, if you could maybe pull up one of the elevation drawings for the Bay Street frontage, and that's fine. Yeah. So it just seems to me, I mean, I can appreciate what you've done with the projection or in the materiality to try to reflect some symmetry with the heritage buildings, but it just feels that the height is effectively 1 story too tall. And I'm wondering if you can look at maybe dropping that by a story, and in so doing, maybe reduce the amount of glazing at grade, but carry that color, the materiality, and the projections for that same block, but limit the height so that it effectively matches of the heritage buildings to the side. That's all I have, Vince. Thanks very much.
Thanks, James. Tim?
Yes, thank you, Vince. Thank you for the presentation. Just a few comments. I agree with my colleagues, specifically their comments regarding the rear of the building, the excessive paving. There was quite a bit going on back there. One small thing that will help, I think not insignificantly, is to simply move the door to the garbage room to the side of the building and to the back. I think there's going to be some conflicts there, and at least some of the time. And I see you've moved the receptacles, but moving those to the side of the building too would be an improvement. And I agree with Jackie's comment about moving the amenity space to the rear. And I like your idea actually of converting that space to 2 or 3 townhouse units. I appreciate that's a pretty significant design change, but in fact would be an appropriate use at the front there and a nice transition to the townhousing. So I do urge you to consider that. I think my main concern really is the look of this building from Bay Street. The fiber cement board, I thought it was not a great insulating material, but I won't challenge that. You simply know, you certainly know what a passive house is, so I'm sure it can do the job. But I assume it's also being used for its cost. And this building to me is just not probably going to look that great in a few years. It's a material that does need maintenance. And I think you've almost acknowledged it's not going to look great by throwing these dabs of color onto the facade and just some kind of random pattern. So it's just, I just think you need to reconsider the materiality, picking up on Uta's comments, at least for the facade of the building and wrapping around the sides, at least part way, and moving to at least some, if not entirely, a precast material or actual masonry material. And when I say precast, to look like masonry, there really should be the appearance of some brick on this facade. It could be just the projection there, the brown projection there at least, but I would consider it elsewhere as well. So just a slightly higher quality material on the facade, I think, is critical. There's also just a lot going on the facade here. There's not random, but a staggering of windows. There's different tones of gray going on. I think just a simpler treatment of the facade would be better. If you want to use color, I think I'm not sure you need it, particularly if you do change the materiality. But I would suggest a single band of color vertically or horizontally across the building. It's just as a gesture would be better than this kind of random pattern here. It just it makes the building look a little bit frivolous. So I do urge you just a more simplistic approach to the facade and higher quality materials. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. If you wouldn't mind taking the chair. I guess when we talk about materiality, I mean, I don't know if you've investigated other products like porcelain panels that are quite lightweight, and there's a product out of Toronto, Build Tech. We're working with them now on a building, and we can do a large insulated space behind the panel, and because their anchor system goes out quite a ways, and it's actually quite economical. So with the variety of panels you can use within their system, you can introduce color and different scale of panels. So the whole system starts to, you can get into a whole variety of different appearances. Anyway, I'll leave that one there. The comment I had was, everyone seems to be commenting on this large rear yard, and I couldn't help but look at the plan and suggest that the rear lane, I guess it's the north side, the long lane with the backup space, if you did consider, and you may have, a lane that goes in and turns at the very end of the backup space into the future garage. And I know in the short term, you need to provide access to temporary parking, which I could see that being off of that lane on the way in from Bay Street, Cannon Street, and devoting that space, a limited driveway depth in the short term with 5 or 6 stalls, and then in the future extend it down to a ramp that goes in along the north side and back in, and then being able to generate a more cohesive landscaped area from Cannon Street south of that northern lane across the site to link to the building. And you could provide a slightly wider sidewalk for temporary access for garbage removal, similar to what you have behind the heritage buildings on the corner. That could become a bit of a service lane, but again, it's a temporary use once a week or whatever it is. So it might be a way to bring some of that green space down to where you planned on putting the ramp into the future garage and devoting that turnabout at the top to come in where that green space is at the top of the site, and then broaden, like I say, right out to Cannon Street. Anyway, it's just a thought, and again, you may have already considered it, but those are our comments for the day, and I'm just wondering if you need us to repeat any of these comments, or you're quite satisfied with what you've heard, and you don't need a summation. But we'd like to thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting, and it's an interesting site in consideration of your phasing objectives and the building typology. So, Mr. Button, do you have any questions or any clarifications you need? Hello?
Yeah, thank you for all the comments and observations, and we will consider them. And will there be some kind of a written summation of what was said?
Hi.
Yes.
Yes, so in the next 3 weeks, I'll follow up with a finalized summary of the meeting, written summary.
Okay. Yes, that will be very helpful.
I'm sorry, can I make a last comment? I know we're beyond our time, but just a quick comment. There was no chance of just doing one less bedroom at the back and switching the amenity for the bedroom at the back, eh? And possibly having a retail unit at the front?
That would be up to the City Housing Hamilton.
Okay, all right. Well, something to consider. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good day.